Let's double check and say, oh, there we are. Yeah, we're on. Good. Well, let's start with some community moments this morning. We have several announcements. I think we got a couple of guys lined up here. Who's first? Me. All right. I'll use the microphone. Okay, now I'll use the microphone. Just a quick thank you to all of you that supported our fundraiser last night, and a special thanks to the youth that worked it and the adults that helped. We were able to raise over $1,200 for the two programs, so thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of the Finance Committee. In your bulletin is a sheet that's called Church News, and on the back we're going to start putting in a little stewardship moment every month to let you know how we're standing in the church financially. And basically, as part of faith giving, we believe that you can't respond unless you know what the issues are. So we're going to start putting those in so everyone can read that and know what's happening. In particular, February looks like it's going to be a tight month financially. So if you so feel the urge, please help us out. Thank you.
Apparently, everyone in choir has an announcement this morning. Somehow, in the announcements, Wendy blended two requests from me. So she asked me how the ASP Euchre tournament was in January, and I said fine, and I reported that. And then I said, as a result of that, some people would like to just get together and play euchre and cards, but it's not a fundraiser. It's just a fun fellowship event. So this coming Saturday night, regardless of what it says in the announcements, what we'd like to do is have euchre and cribbage for fun from 6 to 8 p.m. here at the church in the fellowship hall. Just bring your own beverage, bring a snack to share if you feel so moved. So if you are interested in that, please see me after worship. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, we have another, a man from the floor speaking on the floor.
Yeah, sure. Good morning. I have a honor again, or a chance again, to thank a group of people who put out a great effort as you know, a few weeks ago we did the floors in the lower part, and this past Thursday and Friday we had a crew in there who we stripped and refinished the floors in the hallway upstairs and in the conference room. It turned out great, so if you get a chance to take a look at it. I'd like to thank George Harriman, George Strable, Bob Johnson, Ellen Tubergen, Don Tubergen, Jack Johnson, David Lee, and yours truly. So thank you again. Great job these guys did.
I want to share briefly also about this program, this 40-day program, our Lenten study, because we're on the week that it all gets going. Again, along the walls, you'll see sign-up places. You'll see one for Shirley Van Hees is leading one right after worship today. Another small group is going to be typically meeting at Jeep and Sheila's on Sunday evenings at 6, but that's going to be here today because they're away. This is the, what do we call it, midwinter break? That's right. And then we also have Jerry and Judy Slicker, 6 o'clock tonight, and Judy McIntyre. You're leading one. When is yours? Let's see, 2 o'clock on Tuesday.
But I have a funeral on Tuesday, so can we put it ahead to 3 o'clock?
Yeah, 3 o'clock on that day, and so the people that are on the sheet will be able to contact and let them know. And then Dan Wallington, right over here. Dan is one of our new people in our room. We have a sheet up here, and so if you haven't signed up, that's one that doesn't have everybody signed up yet. So I'll be looking at that one for Wednesday night. So a lot of opportunities for us to be a part of this study. You know, it's several parts again. As I've told you before, there's a book that we can read at home just for daily devotions during these 40 days. There's a regular book that Hamilton has written that I've found to be very interesting if you'd like to read that one. And those are both available in the back. And then there's a small group, which we're talking about here. But I want you to see, the guys are going to play for us a brief introduction to what those small groups, the content, is going to be. So let's take a look at that if we could, guys. with some sound. The small groups will have sound, by the way, not just picture. What we're seeing are some clips of the Holy Land, because this study is an opportunity for us to, as you see, walk in the footsteps of Jesus, and to see, as we study some of the places, locations in the Holy Land that are historic, and so our study will allow us to kind of the next best thing to being there, seeing these clips. So let's go ahead and we can pull that down now. I think you've got the idea. So we'll go from there. And for the next 12 hours, if I look a little bit tired, I've been on retreat this weekend. Some of you know of Carson City Correctional Facility. It's at one of our state prisons. I've been in prison for the weekend, and gives a whole new kind of concept to midwinter break, because they let me out today to come back and be with you. But I'm headed right back there till tomorrow late in the afternoon, and we're having an absolutely amazing experience with a spiritual growth retreat in a prison. I've always been of the mind that it's not just about informing people, though that's important. You know, we need to train and re-educate and give people skills, but it's about transformation. And I am watching 25 men this weekend absolutely find transformation in their lives. And so keep me in your prayers, keep them in your prayers, and when it's all said and done, I'll share more with you about what's going on. But it's been a great experience, and I could not be there if not for people like Sandy, who's filling in at this end, and others that are helping in so many different ways, and Wendy in the office. So I appreciate your support that I can take 3 full days of time and be in another location such as that. So let's just continue to be in prayer around that. But let's take a minute. Let's greet our friends and neighbors. Then we'll come back and start our service. Hey, how are you? Hi, I've met before. Good to see you. Good. Hi, you guys. How are you? Good. Good. My daughter would love this top because she's a purple girl. Yes. Oh, yeah. Purple everything. Good to see you guys. Oh, my gosh. Look at all the hair. Is that true with these guys, too? Let's stand together for our call to worship. Now let's see if this one fits during midwinter break. For some of us, it was tempting to sleep in or do something else this morning. There are many temptations in front of us. We are called to place our trust in God. Amen.
God is always blessing us and comforting us and guiding us through troubles, through great times, through joys. And as we sing our opening hymn, which is Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah, I want us to make sure as we're singing through the third verse that we get that last little bit when it says sing songs of praises, that we really sing that out as we open our worship together. Guide me, O Thou Great Jehovah. thou great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, as thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. Open now the crystal fountain, whence the healing stream doth flow. Let the fire and cloudy pillar lead me all my journey through. Strong deliverer, lead out the blessed shield. Be thou still my strength and shield. When I tread the verge of Jordan, bid my anxious fears subside. Death of death and hell's destruction, let me save on Canaan's side. Songs of praises, I will ever give to thee. I will ever give to thee. Amen, and you may be seated.
And I'm going to ask you to stand again for the opening prayer. This will keep you awake. Lord, the temptations of the world loom large before us. We are enticed, lured, and seduced into moving from lives of service to lives of self-centeredness. We need your healing love. As you resisted the temptations in the wilderness, help us to place our trust in you, that we may be strong in our faith and confident in our service to you through serving others. Amen. And you may be seated.
I have some kids here today? Yes. Come on down, you guys. Good to see you here today. Great. Well, today I want to talk about how easy it is for us to take shortcuts. Does anybody know what a shortcut is? What's a shortcut, Adam?
When you do something to make your work shorter.
Okay. When you do something to make your work shorter, yeah, that fits the idea. Anybody else think of shortcuts, what it might be? Another way of describing it, because that's definitely one of the things that's true about that. What else would be a shortcut?
A paper cut?
A really short one, huh? Oh, my goodness sake, you guys are working hard today. How about, like, if you lived right over there behind us, if you were to go all the way around on the street and come around to the church, that would be one way to get here, but what would be another way to get here? What's that?
Just go straight.
Straight through the alley. And that would be called a shortcut. Right. Did you have another idea of a shortcut? No? Okay, well, shortcuts are something that can be really wonderful in life, but they can also be a problem. Now, one of the things that I noticed this week with the guys that were cleaning and the gals that were cleaning the floor up in the hallway upstairs is that they didn't take one shortcut they might have. You know all those little spots where we hang our coats and things along the hallway? All you guys have, do you have your names on those spots, some of them? Yeah, that's right. And when they were cleaning the floor, you know, it's like trying to get into the bottom of that and clean in to each little cubby would have taken forever. So they didn't take a shortcut and just kind of clean around it. They removed those from the wall, set them in another part of the church so they could clean the entire floor. There were no shortcuts there. They were really thorough in what they did. And I suspect, have any of you ever had homework before? Yeah? Right. Have any of you thought, I wonder if there's a way I can hurry through this? You ever, like, rush through your homework? Sometimes, yeah? Yeah, it's really tempting sometimes when there's something that we really aren't really excited about, and we've got something else that's more interesting perhaps, so we want to take a shortcut through the stuff that's maybe doesn't seem as much fun on the surface to get to the fun stuff. That makes sense. And, you know, those are things like when we're doing something enjoyable, like if you were down at Cedar Point having fun, you might make sure you stopped at all the different rides. You'd never take a shortcut to just get from one end of the park to the other and then leave. You'd take as much time as possible, but you'd take the shortest route possible to get from the parking lot all the way up to the park. And if there's a shortcut, you'd take it. But today we're going to talk about how sometimes there are things in life that are important that we shouldn't take shortcuts on. And one of those things are our activities of faith, the things that have to do with our life in God. And there are things that we do in the midst of our life in God that are activities. One of them is prayer. It'd be very easy for us to maybe not pray very often or even not at all. And those kind of shortcuts don't help us because then we don't build like our praying muscles. You know, you got to use them or you lose them. Another thing that's a faith-oriented thing is helping other people, and particularly people that are in need, that have a difficulty, and we're somebody that can help them through it. God wants us to help other people that we find along our way during the day, and sometimes we just pass by and we don't help. And that's kind of like a shortcut in life. There are just bunches of these in our lives. Or today, the call to worship we read a little bit ago, maybe it would have been easier today to, what? Stay in bed. Because it is midwinter break after all. So wouldn't it be great, a rule, would you like this if on midwinter break you didn't have to go to church?
No.
Way to go, guys. I did not pay them to say that.
I like the cookies.
You like the cookies. All right, Adam, that's good. You're my man, yeah. You know, and that's true for a lot of us. Sometimes we get here for reasons that aren't always the ones that maybe we think would be building our spiritual muscles again, but we come here nonetheless, and those spiritual muscles do get built. So we kind of like show up, and we try to put ourselves through the exercises of faith. So we're going to talk more about that as we go through this day. But this is kind of one of the things we always talk about as we go through this time period called Lent. And you guys are going to talk more about that at Children's Church. We talked about it some last week here in this room, and we'll talk about it as we go through the next 40 days. But let's do our Lord's Prayer together, okay, you guys? It'll be up here for us, and we can either read it or you probably know it. So, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thanks for coming up, you guys. This is the time for us to pray together. What are the prayers that we hold up? What are the joys, the concerns that we want to share with each other today? The prayers that we have? Yes. For the military that are some stationed a long, long, long way from home during difficult times. So let's keep them all in our prayers at this time. Thank you, Dan. Who else do we pray for? Yes.
I would like traveling mercies for all of those families traveling over this weekend, and those of us that couldn't be here this morning because of travel.
Okay, for families, yes.
I'd like continued prayers for my niece Fiona. She's still struggling with her issues.
Okay, let's continue to keep Fiona in our prayers. And for the time she was with you, now we know who she is. It makes our prayers a little more tangible for us. So let's keep her in our thoughts. Doug, did I see your hand?
Yeah, just a prayer of joy and thanks for all the support and prayers that we had last weekend as we took our 17 youth to Spring Hill. One young man accepted Christ into his heart on our Saturday night worship, and it was just an awesome weekend for everyone, certainly for the 4 adults that accompanied these kids. We came away refreshed and certainly energized by what we learned and what we saw in them this weekend.
And there were a lot of kids there, weren't there? I can only imagine, maybe 1,000?
There's a little under 1,000 folks totally that worshiped together. It was fun.
Wow, that is spectacular. Thank you, Doug, and to the others that made that possible. That's great. Yes. Yes, we want to keep Wayne Halpin in our prayers. It's been a tragic week in his family. His sister was killed in a car accident, and it's hard enough to have a tragedy like that, but it happened like on Tuesday, and it wasn't until into Wednesday quite a ways before the family was notified of the accident. It happened up on Highway 66, and she and actually her friend, I think, were both killed in this accident, and it's just come as such a shock. So Wayne and his sisters and brothers, his mom, she's how old now? 90, right in her late 90s, and it was an enormous shock to her. So let's keep the Halpins in our prayers during this time. Yes.
I don't know if you saw in the Chronicle, there was a young man at Ferris in the first year of school who partied too much and ended up spending the whole night in a snowbank Friday night. His core body temperature was 70 when they found him.
Oh.
He's obviously in a coma.
Oh.
They don't know if he's going to make it.
Okay.
Just for this young man and for kids and children.
Yes. I'm not sharing this prayer because it's like that one. It has a good outcome. But as a parent, I received one of those phone calls this weekend from Matt, and it was starting like this: Dad, I'm okay. You know those phone calls. And I had one a year ago, last summer, from Becky following a car accident where her car was totaled, and so I kind of knew where this was going. And Matt had a car accident on a highway down in Ohio. I was within 20 minutes of heading into Carson City facility when this occurred, and I would be out of communications and then for the rest of that day and the next. And he's okay, banged up a little bit, and his girlfriend too, and his roommate as well. And so just keep Matt and his people in your prayers, but he's good. And the cars, when they do what they're supposed to, you can walk away from them. And you really don't care whether they run ever again or not. It's those kids in our lives and the ones that are family. And when Wayne has the moment that he's had, I just thank God when I realize how much more tragic it could have been. It involved a sand truck and a bunch of cars that stopped suddenly on a highway. And sometimes it just happens. Life is that way, isn't it? So who else are we praying for today? Anyone else? Yes. Yes, that's right. passed away this week, and so let's continue to keep her in our prayers, and her son, who comes from Wisconsin. We've been in conversation with him. There'll be no local service, and so we'll kind of, in a sense, celebrate her life and the times that you remember, great times with her. And even though I've only been here a little while, she and I had some really good times together. As I visited with her on different occasions, she'd be in the hospital and in her home before she moved. And let's just remember Dorothy and be grateful. Yes, yes. It's Al, what is it? Mel Pikehart. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, it's for Nell Beauvais. All right, let's keep Nell in our prayers. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, she had a bad bike accident, was it several years ago? And Don says this isn't quite like that at all. So, yes. Okay. Sandy, thank you for sharing that. Yes, let's keep them in our prayers. Yes. Okay, for the Dean children, for the family and friends. Okay, let's keep them in our prayers. Yes. Oh. Yeah, I can only imagine that would be hard. And so for one of your cashiers who has had some domestic violence experiences, and we'll keep her in our prayers. And you'd look around, and some of you'd say, I don't see Gail anywhere today, because Gail, bless her heart, she has driven, well, at the 6-month point, she'd driven 5,000 miles to church to be here with us every weekend. And I'm hoping it's partly me that she comes, not just you guys. But she's not here today, and it's the first time she's not been here when I've been here, and so I'm missing her. Here we got Valentine's Day, and we missed even seeing each other. I'm in a 2-week kind of a pattern not seeing her. But she's with her mom, and her mom turns 90 today. So some of you have met Shirley already, so you'll meet her again. But she is the best mother-in-law in the whole world. And I know some of you would beg to differ, and that's all right. But I'm a lucky, lucky man. So let's keep Shirley in our prayers. Who else? There was one more or two more? Yes? That's Jack Park. Let's keep Jack Park in our prayers. Yes. Parker. Okay. Our Jack? Oh, okay. Okay, different Jack. Oh, okay. I'm still getting up to speed on the used to attended here. Okay. Yes.
Like prayer for Lori's mom. She's down to one leg, and they did a Doppler on her, and she has no circulation in the lower part of her good leg, and looks like she might be facing surgery and amputation of her. She's close to 90 years old. And also, a prayer for the financial needs of this church during the winter time, because we're struggling to make the common bills that we have to pay every month due to excessive snow and other items that have hit us through this month of February. And Dave tried to bring it out as best he could without putting a big banner out there, but we need financial help this month to get us over the hump, so we don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yes. That's, it's so well stated. First, Lori, we're thinking of your mom in the midst of that. But yes, as a church, we have so much to be grateful for. I regularly, every day, and today I've said it already a bunch of times to myself in my early times this morning when I was up and back here at the church, and I am so grateful for what I see here at this church. I believe that this is a great fit between us. And I'm watching things begin to blossom and grow, but we've got this kind of cash flow kind of thing that we're making reference to, that we just all need to just pitch in a little more. You know, somebody came forward, we're going to put banners out in the yard here real soon for our Easter services and all that, because we think we're going to have probably more than we've seen in recent times for Easter as we did for Christmas Eve. Somebody said, I'll pay for that. And somebody else said, I'll pay for this. And, you know, because we know and we believe that we're on the right track and we're headed the right way. So when we can, we do. And so we'll just make it happen. So I appreciate what you said. That's great. Any other prayers? You guys are a praying group today. Wow. And we should feel like we can pray about all these things. You know, they're important to us. What's going on? Anything else? I can shorten the sermon. And when you're saying, but he won't. Don't worry, we're not doing ashes, we're not doing water, we're not doing anything extra today, no communion. So we're gonna do it, you guys. So let's pray. Let's do our song together first. Nick, tell us.
Our prayer also of thanksgiving that perfect Lamb of God came to save each one of us, that we can accept him and that we can pray that others might know him as well. So let that be our final prayer concern as we go to prayer. Let's sing our song together, Lamb of God.
Your only Son, no sin to hide, but you have sent him from your side to walk upon this guilty sod and to become the Lamb of God. Oh, Lamb of God, sweet Lamb of God, I love the holy Lamb of God. Oh, wash me in his precious blood, my Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God. Precious Lord, hear our prayers. Lord, first of all, enter into the deepest place of our being and hear those prayers which we dare not speak. Hear those prayers that sometimes just frighten us so much we don't even look there ourselves. Lord, we are yours, and you love us. You come to us right where we are. And there's nothing we can possibly do that would end your love for us. Lord, while we are still sick, you come for us to bring healing and wholeness. Help us during this time of Lent to discover and rediscover what it is that you've done on our behalf. Help us to remember this walk that you made to Jerusalem, to a cross. Help us, Lord, to remember what it can mean as we leave this place today and go into the world. Prepare us, Lord. Equip us in new ways that we might be a light on a hill, that we might be salt in the world, that we might be everything that you have created us to be. Stir in our hearts a new song. Help us to sing it loud and clear. And let that song be your song. Amen.
He's with us in these times of trouble. He can guide us. He didn't take the shortcut, but rather he came and sometimes he walked through lonesome valleys. So that's what we're going to sing next, is this old spiritual, If Jesus Walked This Lonesome Valley. Will you stand as we sing this together? Jesus walked this lonesome valley. He had to walk it by himself. Oh, nobody else could walk it for him. He had to walk it by himself. As we walk our lonesome valley, we do not walk it by ourselves, for God sent His Son to walk it with us. We do not walk it by ourselves. Amen. You may be seated.
The scripture reading this morning is Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 10, the temptation of Jesus. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become the loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again, it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, "All these I will give you, and if you will fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only Him." The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
Perhaps you've already gotten a sense of where I want to go this morning. The sermon title alone begins to clarify that, in the children's time as well. I want to deal this morning with the lure of the easy way. Our scripture reading places Jesus in the wilderness. A good beginning point for us, then, is perhaps to reflect for a moment on the meaning that those who lived in the first century in Palestine would have attached to an experience in the wilderness or desert. Now, between Jerusalem and the central plateau, there was a strip of land which was commonly referred to by the Jews as the place of devastation. Well, maybe that name helps to remove any speck of a kind of a sense of a beautiful, lush, woodsy forest kind of imagery from our mind's eye. That's not the kind of place we're thinking of here. Those who travel there today find extreme temperatures, hot in the day and extremely cold at night. The land itself is made of yellow sand, which we're pretty accustomed to around here, but crumbling limestone, contorted strata of rock jutting up and dropping off in such a way as to prevent a person from leaving the main passes and the trails to go in any distance very far at all. You virtually have to stay on the path, for sheer cliffs and unstable rock are everywhere. Now, it's in this kind of wilderness that Jesus could be more alone than maybe anywhere in Palestine. And isolation seems to be precisely the setting that he sought as he dealt with the incredible call that God was making on his life. Jesus had to be alone. It was in this place. After fasting for 40 days and nights, and we can see the connections, the symbolism perhaps here to 40 years in the wilderness, or 40 days of rain. Lots of stories that are connected and are reminders of this time. In fact, as Jesus refers and reflects to the tempter in this story, he reflects back on things that were said in the wilderness of 40-year wandering for the Hebrew people. There are three temptations that are core to this story. First, turning stone into bread. Second, casting himself from the temple. And third, we know, bowing down and worshiping Satan in order to have some kind of power over all the kingdoms in the world. Jesus has no hesitation at all in dealing with the devil in these temptations. We can easily see the lure is to take the easy way, but Jesus is focused. He knows to whom he's loyal, and he knows in whom he trusts. Away from me, Satan! These words, they're kind of reminiscent of another place in Scripture, another time, another place that would be a few years off yet. Remember that time? He's in the north country and near Caesarea Philippi with his disciples, away from things, kind of what we might kind of figure he's kind of on retreat. Again, this was no bustling city. Jesus was attracting a great crowd wherever he went, and even here people were kind of following after them. Crowds seemed to be pressing in from every direction. People were eagerly reaching out to touch this attractive young teacher from Nazareth. No doubt the disciples were kind of caught up in the excitement of all this. It was at this time that Jesus asked them, "Who do people say I am?" Simon Peter answered enthusiastically, "You're the Christ. You're the Son of the living God." It's perhaps one of the most dramatic moments in the disciples' time with Jesus. Now, it was good and it was wonderful that Peter seemed to have the correct answer. But in the midst of Peter's identification of Jesus as the Messiah, the Christ, it was imperative that Jesus stop things for a moment, take time out, and clarify just what being the Messiah really was. The problem was that over the centuries, the people of Israel had misunderstood the role of Messiah. And being Jews themselves, the disciples carried with them the same misunderstandings. Jesus began this explanation by telling them that the crowds that were now so wonderful to them would soon turn against them and that he would be killed. And that somehow, strangely, it must have been kind of hard for the disciples to take this in, but he said he would be raised. I'm sure the disciples didn't know what to make of this. So Peter kind of politely pulls Jesus aside and he says, "Never, Lord. This shall never happen to you." Jesus' response to his friend and companion Peter was as harsh as anything we read about in the whole of the Gospels. Out of my sight, Satan. You don't have things of God in your mind, but things that are human. Perhaps Jesus called Peter Satan because of the similarity of Jesus' experience in the wilderness a few years earlier, which we read about today, and his moment there with Peter. In that setting, immediate gratification was also the issue. All Jesus had to do was to turn stone to bread, leap off a pinnacle, bow down and worship Satan. In Peter, Jesus encountered Satan now through someone he dearly loved. Never, Lord. You shouldn't have to suffer and die. If there's any doubt that Jesus was resisting the lure of the easy way, listen once again to the words that follow. If anyone, he says, then after this get behind me, Satan kind of thing, he said, if anyone would come after me, they must deny themselves, pick up their cross, and follow me. What powerful expectations. You know, many of us today are making the mistake of following the easy way. This can be seen in our relationships. We're simply not willing to go through the pain of working out the difficulties that genuine, healthy relationship requires. Have you noticed that? I mean, it's true of virtually all of us at times, and our culture is just falling apart in so many ways because relationship is hard. It's not an easy thing. It's very challenging. It's true of our marriages. It's true of our relationships between other family members and our friendships with each other. It's true of things at every level, even on into politics. Relationship is hard, and we're not willing to do the difficult work of caring deeply for the people that are closest to us. Our neighbors, we're compartmentalized. We don't even know sometimes the people that live closest to us. They may sleep 50 feet from us, and we do not know their name. What a world we live in. There's no easy way. There's no easy way that will lead to solid, helpful, and loving connections between human beings. It's just hard work. We mustn't be lured into thinking that this will be easy, because it won't. Following the easy way is a problem for many of us at work as well. And the kids, you could hear them thinking about how it's a temptation at school too. Some time ago I read about a farmer. He was on his porch at his house, and a stranger came by and he asked, "How things going?" "Tolerable," he replied. Then he went on to say, 2 weeks ago a tornado came along and knocked all the trees down across the back 40, the ones I was planning to chop down for this winter's firewood. Then last week lightning struck the brush that I was planning to burn before I plant in the fields. The stranger said, "Wow, that's remarkable. What are you doing now?" The farmer said, "Well, I'm just sitting here on the porch waiting for an earthquake to shake them taters out of the ground." We like it easy. You know, how many times do we sit around just waiting for circumstances to change somehow in our favor once in a while, so we don't have to put forward the heavy work. We don't have to do the heavy lifting, the challenging thing in our world, in our lives. One person, you know, it's not just true at work and in our relationships. It's also true at church, isn't it? One person said to another, "Say, I heard you got a new car. How did you ever afford it?" The other person said, "Well, I just stopped giving to the church." The first guy said, "Gee, I wish I could find a car for that cheap." The lure of the easy way? I think so. You know, we have all kinds of places in our lives where we'd like things to come easy. It isn't just true of our finances in the church either, is it? It's true of all the aspects of our spiritual pilgrimage, of our walk in faith. It's true of our prayer time and true of our study time. It's true of our acts of mercy out in the world. So easy to short-circuit all that and just kind of look for a way to do it the easy way. It'd be nice if there was a way to have faith, you know, the kind of faith of, like Mother Teresa. I just love the stories I read of her life. Or maybe more realistically, we think maybe even the faith of our parents. And to have something like that, but yet not have to put out or put forth the real effort it takes to grow. But friends, growth really only comes through deep dedication and commitment to a struggle. We're all too often the devotees of the easy way, even though everyone in the room knows two basic truths that I want to hold up today. The first is that the path to personal growth and happiness is that of self-denial. You know, there's all kinds of things that we can read about how as we raise our children, if we help them to develop the skill of being able to put off gratification, that they will produce in the long run. Children who learn that mechanism of being able to say, not now, maybe later. And we work with our children on that one. It's tough. I know that, you know, from the earliest years we worked on it with our kids. It was just occurring to me when Becky was little. You know, she's, 24 now, and we were trying to teach her not to do certain things. And you say no, and you point at the thing, and you say no. Becky had this thing about Kleenex. She loved to remove them from the box. It was so fun. And we were in the upstairs of our house at that time. It was a beautiful, big Victorian kind of wood house. It's just a great old place. And she was up there, and I was up there, and she was a toddler kind of age. And she toddled from where we were in her room around to the guest room. And I kind of followed her, but not so she could see me, because I had to keep an eye. There were stairs not far away. And she went in, and she walked up to the Kleenex box. And she went, no. No. And then she went, choo, 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 choo. You know, we work on them, but it doesn't always work. It would obviously, for Becky, take a few more years. You know, there's a man visiting the Washington Monument, and he and his party approached the monument, and they heard a guide announcing loudly that there would be a 2-hour wait for the elevator ride up to the top. However, with a little smile after saying that, the guide then added, but there's no wait in going to the top if you'd like to take the stairs. You know, there's never a line leading in the difficult direction. The difference between the elevator and the Washington Monument and the easy way in life is that the one in life doesn't ultimately reach the top. Often we refer metaphorically that it goes the other way. Okay? Making upward motion spiritually is always a matter of effort. Now, granted, the biggest effort belongs to God. But once we truly and honestly realize the depth of God's love and God's grace for us, the effort, believe it or not, on our part becomes easy. And that's the trick. You know, it's, do we really know what God's done for us? Do we really recognize it? Have we internalized it? Do we believe it? Because once we believe it, we'll live out of it. If I truly believe that my parents loved me, you would be just absolutely amazed how motivated I'll be to try to do what they want me to do. It's true. That's a metaphor for our experience with God in this world, in this life. Personal growth, in its many facets, requires a willingness to resist the lure of the easy way. A sound body requires that we exercise and we eat the right foods and that we conquer our bad habits. And I know you're looking at me and saying, what does he know? A sound mind requires that we read and that we observe and that we continually learn. And a sound marriage requires that each partner goes into it with the understanding that marriage is not a 50-50 thing. It's 100-100 coming together. A sound family means that we'll take the time to be sensitive to the needs of our children. That we provide not only for kids' physical needs, but for their emotional, educational, and spiritual needs as well. I heard a man just this weekend saying, my dad was a big fan of over in Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers. Oh dear, that was terrible, wasn't it? I couldn't think of that. And he'd watch every game, and indeed he went to some of the games. But this young man said, I was in sports, never once in my life did my dad show up for anything that I did. Not one. How can we be a sports fan and not have the number one sport in our lives not be our own kids? Their emotional, educational, and spiritual needs are so critical. All these things. Such goals require sacrifice. They require perseverance. They require determination. And of course, they require graceful forgiveness as we sometimes fail, even when our effort is genuine and clear. Every one of us knows that the path to personal happiness is ultimately a path which includes various forms of self-denial. For those of us in this room who've made the transition from being an active participant in sports to being a passive spectator, anybody join me in that? We know that undesirable things begin to happen to our bodies. The weight, the blood pressure, the resting heart rate, the cholesterol, the triglycerides, they all go up. Vitality, capacity, oxygen consumption, flexibility, stamina, and strength, they all go down. Conclusion? There's a profound difference between those of us who are actively engaged in the sports and those who sit back and watch it happen. This is equally true in the spiritual world. Here, too, there's a profound difference between those who are actively engaged in prayer and activities like worship and things that have to do with compassion and healing, and those who sit back and watch it happen. Self-denial and discipline are essential not only for our personal healing, but also for the healing of the whole world. Here is the missing call in our day. Our world faces tremendous challenges. Is there no one who cares enough to act? Some cynic has said, when the going gets tough, everyone leaves. That happened to the people around Jesus. As the way got harder, the numbers of those who followed dwindled, slowly smaller and smaller, until finally he died virtually alone on Calvary. Yet if he'd been unwilling to lay down his life, the world might never have known the full extent of God's love for us. And if those early disciples hadn't eventually kind of caught on and picked up Jesus' cross and followed after him, we still wouldn't know about that love now. And if you and I don't pick up the cross in our time and make those hard choices and assume those difficult responsibilities, the people we love, our children, our grandchildren, our friends, and our neighbors still won't know the old story of Jesus and his love. If we don't care what happens to this world, who will? If we don't feed the hungry, who will? If we don't tell the world about Jesus, who will? You know, I recall the words of General Booth, William Booth. He was founder of the Salvation Army, a former Methodist, a friend to the down and out. 3 months before he died, he wrote this down. While women weep as they do now, I will fight. While little children go hungry as they do now, I will fight. While men go to prison in and out, as they do now, I will fight. While there is a drunkard left, while there is a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I will fight. I will fight to the very end. And he did. Can you imagine General Booth writing a book entitled Looking Out for Number One? The story is told of a worker in the inner city in a mission who had given many years to a most discouraging ministry. And a friend came to him one day and said, why don't you just throw in the towel, quit this job, go and just kind of relax and take a vacation. And the man said, you know, there are times when I'd very much like to leave it all. But you see, there's this strange, loving man hanging on a cross, and he won't let me. What has happened to us? What has happened to the contemporary idea of living to our full potential? If anyone would be my disciple, Jesus said, let him deny self, take up a cross, and follow me. That's the word we so desperately need to hear. This first Sunday of Lent. It's a call to take the road less traveled. It's the lonely stairs opposed to the elevator to the top. Or as Jesus himself once said, it's the narrow way. Your choice. Amen.
As we close our worship, as we think of going on that path, of not taking the easy way, of not doing that, we know that we can because of God's help. Our last hymn is "The Mighty Fortress is Our God," and the second line is "A bulwark never failing." And a bulwark, I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up. A bulwark is something that we can lean on regardless of what else is going on. And I've jumped over the offering. So I'm going to go sit back down, and then we'll come back and we'll sing this.
On a day like today, we don't forget the offering. Yeah. Ushers, please come forward. Keep the offering in the back if you let her know not to play a doxology. We're not going to do a doxology. If you just keep the offering back here, that'd be good. You do the hymn.
Now we'll sing of that great hope that we have, that help, that thing that will never fail when we try to stay away from that easy path and doing what God asks us to do. Will you stand as we sing, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God"?
A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. Our helper He amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still our ancient foe doth
armed with cruel hate. On earth is not his equal. Did he amid our own strength confide, our striving would be losing. Were not the right man on our side, the man of God's own choosing. Thus as you that may be, Christ Jesus it is He, Lord Sabaoth His name, from age to age the same, and He must win the battle.